arrived. Unfortunately, I am Superman of Doom. The people of the Motherland have arrived. Unfortunately, I am Superman of Doom. Chapter 68. He carried the Maker's Box and the new element energy trough, and the silver-white cloak hunted and moved, directly accelerating away towards the vast night sky of the city outside. 0077 heroes assembled by Amon. When May took Morgan, who had tear stains on her small face, she walked out of the main entrance of the first floor of the apartment building together. At this time, the entire building that fell into extraordinary chaos had returned to calm, and police cars with flashing horns drove up the New York highway at night, surrounding the door of the apartment building. Among them, a black vehicle with a low luxury brand directly stopped next to the police car, and a middle-aged fat man in a suit ran down sweating. May, Morgan. With self-blame written on his face, Harpy asked worriedly, I was on the next street, and I rushed back when I heard the movement. Are you all right? It's okay. It's just that she might be freaked out. May shook her head and looked down at Morgan in her arms, and little Laurie was a little stunned, looking up at the night sky in a daze. What the hell is going on here? Harpy asked solemnly. May opened her mouth, not knowing how to describe it for a while, and could only cast her frightened eyes on the 16th floor of the apartment building. Apartment complex, 16th floor. Yikes. With two slight sound of steps, the figure of a person wearing different styles of spider tight-fitting suits fell into here from outside. Oh my god, we seem to be one step late. Well, the extraordinary battle here seems to be over. Two Spider-Men with slight differences in height and size quickly looked around, and they entered a ruined mess. The 16th floor apartment houses and corridors were in ruins, and the air was filled with scorched smoke and dust. One of the slightly taller Spider-Men pulled off his hood, revealing a handsome face with well-defined features, but it looked a little gloomy due to the dark circles under his eyes. Find the native Spider-Man of this world. He may be able to help us return to the original world. The other Spider-Man nodded, took off his hood, and let out a long breath, revealing a middle-aged face of a certain age, but from the silhouette, you can still see the toughness of youth. If Aemons were still present, he would definitely recognize that this was not Spider-Man from other movie worlds. The Amazing Spider-Man, with the old version of the original Spider-Man. Here, the extraordinary Spider-Man suddenly waved his hand, jumped into a corner of a ruins on the 16th floor, and lifted a tilted wall with his bare hands. My god. The original Spider-Man looked over there, and his pupils suddenly shrank. I saw that after the extraordinary Spider-Man lifted a collapsed wall, what came into view was an extremely tragic situation. A white boy in a metal spider suit lay on the ground, pressing a gentleman who had lost signs of life, and the man's chest was bloody and had a fatal penetrating wound. The man with 4 octopus mechanical claws and sunglasses struggled to support the two, blocking a wall that had completely collapsed before without any strengthened flesh. After the extraordinary Spider-Man lifted the wall, the man in sunglasses grinned and fell down with blood spilling from the corner of his mouth. It's Norman, the Green Goblin from my world, and Dr. Octopus. The original Spider-Man said, stepping forward to support the body of an ordinary person who had been hit hard by Dr. Octopus. He is long dead. The Amazing Spider-Man checks on the situation of the Green Goblin Norman and discovers that the other party died a few minutes ago. You're Peter Parker, the Spider-Man of the native world here, right? The Amazing Spider-Man looked at the young Spider-Man lying on the ground, his eyes blank, and his face stained with blood. I did it wrong, screwed everything up. The young Spider-Man muttered, looking at the dead Green Goblin Norman on the side, not knowing whether it was resentment, anger or some other emotion. Doctor. At this time, the urgent shouting words of the original Spider-Man next to him came. He's dying too. The extraordinary Spider-Man looked up, glanced at Dr. Octopus in the arms of the original Spider-Man, shook his head and sighed. It won't, Doctor. Quote. The young Spider-Man's eyes suddenly regained consciousness, reached out to wipe the bloodstains on his face, and quickly got up and approached Dr. Octopus. The medical scanning system configured with a nanometal spider suit confirmed that Dr. Octopus, who had damaged his internal organs, was indeed not saved. The young Spider-Man's face completely froze, he trembled all over, and looked at the dying Dr. Octopus. Doctor, you don't have to save me, I won't be smashed to death to that extent. Who saved you? Dr. Octopus leaned against the body of the original Spider-Man, his sunglasses were crooked, revealing a pair of still wise and clear eyes. I just saved myself. As soon as the words fell, Dr. Octopus closed his eyes tiredly, revealing a relieved expression and lost his voice. The young Spider-Man suddenly lost his strength and sat down on the ground. Rest in peace, Doctor. The original Spider-Man sighed and reached out to put on the sunglasses for Dr. Octopus again. We all have to get used to parting life and death. The extraordinary Spider-Man's face was calm, like a person coming over watching all this. Seeing the scorched remains of electrical chips in the house next to him, he suddenly said with a moving expression, it seems that the 3 villains from our world have all died here. Green Goblin Norman, Dr. Octopus, and Electric Man. More than that, another voice suddenly sounded out of thin air on the 16th floor of the moment. The 3 Spider-Men looked sideways at the same time, and they could see Mars spinning into a circular portal in the air. And a gentleman man wearing a court magic cloak and white sideburns walked out. There are actually magicians in this world? The extraordinary Spider-Man and the original Spider-Man were stunned and said in unison. Mr. Strange, I'm sorry, I'm very sorry, I messed everything up. The young Spider-Man, who was sitting on the ground, was dazed and did not dare to face the gentleman man. I should have listened to you earlier and sent him all back to the original world. Quote. Exactly. Dr. Strange shrugged. He raised his hand towards the portal behind him, and a lizard monster corpse and several blast crystals flew out and landed in the ruins of the 16th floor here. Dr. Lizard, the extraordinary Spider-Man looked at the corpse of the lizard monster in amazement. Is it Sandman Flint Marco? The original Spider-Man looked at several blast crystals for a while before recognizing them in amazement. This is not your supervillain recognition conference. Dr. Strange complained, but still said solemnly, it's just less than 5 minutes, here the supervillains from other worlds, all 5 people died, basically killed by the same existence. As soon as these words came out, not only the local teenage Spider-Man of the Marvel Universe, but also the extraordinary Spider-Man and the original Spider-Man were shocked. These supervillains come from their world, and they naturally know each other's great strength, especially Sandman and Electric Lightman, as well as the Green Goblin. And they are difficult enough to make at least one documentary movie. And these supervillains, in a short time, were killed by the same existence. This world is scary enough. The extraordinary Spider-Man and the original Spider-Man looked at each other, and it was difficult to hide the horror. Mr. Strange, do you know who killed them? The young Spider-Man also asked in shock. When I was stuck in the mirror space, I saw something. You should also know that existence. Dr. Strange nodded and looked at the teenage Spider-Man playfully and strangely. I know too. Marvel's native Spider-Man Peter Parker was stunned. Dr. Strange was about to respond, but as if he noticed something, he looked outside at the city under nightfall. Huh. As a tail flame lit up over the city not far away, a strong black man wearing a conspicuous camouflage blue on background armor suit and carrying a 5-pointed star shield arrived here. Second-generation Captain America, former Falcon, Sam Wilson. Let me answer that question. Sam, the second-generation American team, directly spoke calmly. After all, recently, Bucky and Dr. Banner have been on the side of the Wakanda country to track down its whereabouts. Tonight is destined to be an unusual night. The 2 Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, and the Avengers from other worlds gather. 0078 The final decision of the Marvel Universe. Saturday. The super artificial intelligence that Stark Industries defected some time ago. Above the ruins of the 16th floor apartment, 3 Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, and the second-generation Captain America representing the Avengers old age group gather here. After listening to the description of the second-generation American team, Marvel's native teenager Spider-Man couldn't help but open his eyes. Artificial intelligence Saturday, he naturally recognized the name. Saturday not only defrauded himself of Stark's industrial rights and artificial intelligence. In the end, he was framed by Mysterio for teaming up with Saturday to cause death. If it weren't for that cause, the young Spider-Man would not have gone to Doctor Strange and let him use the Oblivion spell mistake cast to cause chaos in the current universe. Pulling people related to Spider-Man from other universes into this universe. It won't be like this anymore. Without a doubt, that's where everything comes from. The second-generation American team Sam said in a deep voice, on the night it defected to Stark Industries, it killed the second generation of Iron Man artificial intelligence Friday. As well as other Stark artificial intelligence, and the danger factor is no less than the original Ultron. I went to the country of Wakanda with Bucky and Dr. Banner, and with the help of the local princess Surui, I thought that I would soon be able to lock its IP address. Thought, so you guys failed. Doctor Strange tried to pout and said one step ahead. Yes, Sam. The second team of the American team, glanced at him and said solemnly, after Ultron controlled Stark Industries like the original. It actually directly returned the Stark Industrial Authority to the Stark family, and also transferred all its data program code to other places. And the Wakanda Kingdom could not find any traces of its walking. Quote, you mean, it's smarter than the previous supervillain Ultron? Doctor Strange frowned, although he was still a doctor at the time and had not experienced the Ultron incident. Marvel Earthlings had obviously heard about the Solvia incident. No. It's not so much smart, but it's more like an intelligent body than Ultron. A special intelligent body transformed by artificial intelligence. The second-generation American team scanned everyone on the field and continued, after all. Even the artificial intelligence Ultron 10 years ago betrayed according to Tony Stark's original underlying logic of, for world peace. Quote, and Saturday, the ultimate artificial intelligence, does not have a trace of underlying logic to follow, more like a human with self-concept.